Good evening and welcome
It's
to
Tuesday.
Oh, okay. It's Tuesday?
It's Tuesday.
I was just thinking it was Wednesday. But anyhow, thank you for correcting me. Good evening. It's good evening and welcome to the broadcast. It's Tuesday. Sorry. Retired problems, I guess. Retirement life.
It's also the 9th.
Is it the 9th?
It is.
Okay, so it's September 9th, 2025, and it is Tuesday. I'll get it straight here. Thankfully, I've got Rebecca to keep me on track. Welcome to episode 123 of Porterhouse and Teal Live. And welcome September. This is our first broadcast of September. We weren't on in last week. And so we are back this week at our new and our special time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We are rapidly approaching fall. We are less than 2 weeks away from the autumnal equinox, which will take place on September 22nd, ushering us into fall. And we are already starting to see around here. I'm picking up some leaves out on the lawn. We're getting a kind of an early leaf drop, and that's definitely a sign of changing things ahead. We are starting to feel a little bit cooler temperatures, and the weather pattern here in northern Sacramento Valley for the past couple of days has signaled that it is looking at rain, but nothing of any significance. But I'm a little actually excited about that. And, I'm kind of done with the hotter summer, although we did have a kind of a more mild summer this year. Would you not say?
Yeah, I would. And I would say that right now is a beautiful time to sit out on the front porch because it's not too hot and it's not too cool. It's very pleasant.
Right. Yeah. There's not a lot of bugs either, man. There are a few skeeters out there at different times, depending on where you get, but it's been nice and I welcome that. So again, welcome one and all. Thanks for joining us here this evening. And I'd like to share a little bit about the things that we're doing here on the homestead in the last couple of weeks and talk a little bit about the preparation that we're undergoing for the fall season on our garden and doing some things as far as from a homesteading, permaculture type gardening, soil preparation thing. That's what I've been kind of focusing on and thinking about and doing around here for the past couple of weeks. And it's been kind of nice, but I wanted to talk a little bit about that tonight. And then I've got a couple of homestead dilemmas to throw your way, Rebecca, and we'll see how you respond to those. I've also got a little something to hopefully that'll be a little bit as a did you know, something a little bit more uplifting. And I had intended on not talking about politics at all, but I just couldn't not do that. So we've got a little clip that I'm going to lay out before you, and we'll get your thoughts on that. But how are you doing this evening?
I am doing good. I did an egg delivery today, which was really nice. This is the folks who come up from the Bay Area. Mm-hmm. And prior to coming on here, I was asked some questions. Now, of course, several months ago, if I was asked this question, I wouldn't be able to answer it.
It's only been a couple of months since you've known this?
Well, no, but anyway, since we've had chickens. But I was asked what we did with our birds. And so I had the opportunity to explain that
what birds?
Our chickens.
Okay.
I had the opportunity to explain that they are egg layers. Mm-hmm. And they just assumed that when they stopped laying eggs that we would eat them. I told them they could eat them, but they probably wouldn't be the best tasting birds. Mm-hmm. But there are specific birds for meat. There's specific egg layers, and there's dual purpose birds. And we've tried the dual purpose birds and found them not to be great at either the meat or laying eggs.
Well, yeah. Go ahead. I don't want to cut you off.
But anyway, they found that to be very interesting. They had no idea. So that was kind of fun to explain, something that I myself prior to having chickens would have had absolutely no knowledge.
Yeah, it's probably for people that just eat eggs. They don't really understand the intricacies of all the different breeds and the different things that chickens can do, and the different sizes they come in, and the different all of that. There's a lot of different breeds. I don't know how many there are, but there's hundreds. I would say with regarding the dual purpose birds, I won't say that they are not great for both. I will just say that the ones that we've experienced have not been great for both.
Right.
More or less kind of like the heritage breeds and things like that. But there are some other breeds out there that we haven't tried that other people kind of have told me about and are raising and seem to do quite well for them. So, that's awesome.
Yeah, I just found the ones that we had did not seem to be that hardy of a bird.
No, but again, it's not like we've tried every dual purpose breed that's out there. So I do know that, certain things are good at doing certain functions, right? If it's a meat bird, you want something that's producing, big amount of yield for that. And usually when you get something that does both, they don't really do all that much. Yeah, it's cool. So how are the eggs?
It's like good at all, but master of none.
Yeah. So how are the egg sales going?
They're good. We continue to deliver at the deli. Our day has changed now because they also are supplying to one of the schools, not eggs, but they're cooking food for one of the schools. And so my delivery was not quite early enough on Mondays. So now they get them on Fridays, and they're set to go on Mondays to get out there.
Still getting 6 dozen a week.
They are still getting 6 dozen.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then your other client just came up and
asked for 8.
Okay. So cool. Yeah. The chickens are still earning their keep. They're still cranking them out. Numbers are falling off a little bit, but that's what's going to happen this time of year. Yeah. Along the same lines as chickens. So we ordered some chicks and they were put into the mail on the 2nd of this month. And we are now in the 9th and we still haven't gotten the chicks. They're hung up in the mail. And so they're not going to last longer than 2 to 3 days in the mail. You start to lose them after that 3rd day. They're able to, excuse me, they're able to live based on the yolk that they absorb in the whole process. That gives them enough hydration and energy by absorbing that in the whole hatching process. But they're not going to last much longer than that. So it's been over a week now. And I just got a call from the hatchery today because I reached out to them to let them know the status of the chickens. And the chickens at this point are still out there in the ether.
Well, they're kind of out there.
Well, they haven't gotten to us, and we haven't been notified.
I know. I'm referring to the fact that the chances are they are not alive. More than likely they're dead.
They are dead. Yeah, I'll tell you that right now. They're dead. So they're going to be, actually they shipped, they created the label and they're going to ship them out tomorrow. So
okay, that's nice.
Yeah, that's kind of unfortunate that we lost the chicks in that way, but that's something that's never happened to us. We've gotten chicks from that hatchery, year after year, and never had an issue. So something is amiss in our postal delivery service.
Correct. I would not say it was their fault. I would say it was the post office.
No. So, yeah, it's interesting. Last episode, I know that you had mentioned, you had asked about that article that had been written in the Furrow magazine, and that it wasn't a day later that article had been shipped out to us, and it's out now in the latest edition of the Furrow magazine. So they sent me, I don't know, a dozen copies or so. And, I was able to kind of give that to my family and stuff, and so they could check it out. But Bill Spiegel and his partner that took the pictures, they did a very nice job on putting that together. And they pulled in some different some flavor from other people who make biochar as well. So it wasn't just my contribution as far as, what I do here on this farm and some of the stuff that I was telling them about. It was also other folks that are making biochar. So I thought they did a really nice job with that piece. It's pretty cool.
I know. I think they did a great job. Of course, as Eric said, that magazine showed up. I'm driving down the driveway and I see this thick envelope sitting at the top of our driveway. And I'm thinking, what the heck did he order and not tell me?
Yeah. Very next day, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. But anywho, so another thing, we got the pigs back.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to kind of do a little breakdown on, what the cost was, the final cost and all. And, bear in mind, we went a little bit more of it's an expensive way to go. There's a lot of expense in the processing of having somebody else process it. Now, if we were processing our own animal, it really wouldn't have been nearly as much as it was, but a majority of the expense was in the purchasing of somebody else's labor, but we're just not set up for that here. And it was something we just okay, we're just going to pay somebody to come out, kill the animal, and then we have them take them to the shop and they do all the rest of it, cutting and wrapping and smoking of the bacon and the hams and the ham hocks and all of that. So it cost us about $825 per hog. Now that includes the purchase of the hog. That includes the feed the entire time. All three of those hogs, we just made it through with a ton of feed into them. So that was split three ways with those three hogs. And then the killing and the cutting and wrapping and processing of the meat. And so it came to about $825 per hog. I would suspect that would almost be half of that if we were to done the killing and all the rest of it, the butchering.
Probably.
Yeah, that was the biggest cost right there, is having somebody else kill it and cut and wrap. Mm-hmm. But what it yielded for us is there wasn't one hog that was lighter than 201 pounds hanging weight. And so, you're going to lose a lot of weight at the initial kill with the gutting, skin, and all of the loss there. So these hogs were probably 350 to almost 400, like 375 was probably the heavy one. Because what we wound up with is a little bit over, I think one of the hogs was 224 hanging, and then the other two were each 201 a piece. And so what you're going to wind up from that is you're going to have even more loss, because you're going to have fat trim and you're going to have the bones that are, cut out and whatever else. So you're going to probably have about 120 to maybe 150 pounds of finished product, depending on, what the trim looks like. But you're going to keep about 60 to 75% of what you started with, in essence, from that point. So when it all was all said and done, I ran some figures, and it's looking like about $6.30 a pound for all of that.
Kind of pricey.
Yeah, it's pricey, but what are you going to do?
Yeah. Well, the other is that we have.
What's your alternative to make it cheaper?
No, what I was going to add to it is that we keep all the heart and the lungs and the kidneys for our dog. So that's kind of something that wasn't factored in there, but
we're not keeping the lungs.
All right. The kidney, the liver, and the heart.
Yeah.
And we're able to make that into treats for her. So it's kind of, we're not physically eating that, but
right.
That's
part of the loss in from the hanging weight. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, yeah.
But it's something we're not physically going out and purchasing for her. So.
Right. Yeah. Hey, good evening, Terminator. How are you doing this evening? Thanks for joining us. I saw where you were doing a little cleanup there on your property. Looks like that's quite the project. And I hope it all works out for you as far as dealing with the government as far as getting permits and whatever else might be required up there. But yeah, it looks like you got your hands full. So again, thanks for joining us, and hope things are going to work out for you up there.
Hello.
Another quick reminder, guys, is that, and I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, but I'm mentioning it again now because I think that it's a really important time to get your garlic in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, right now is perfect for us, and it's actually quite perfect for a lot of people, because again, garlic is about an 8 to 9 month crop, and you know, you really want to get that, put it in the fall. What that does is it lets the roots get established while the soil is still warm, so they're going to start to grow and to set roots. And the benefit of doing that is that once the cold season does arrive, those roots are going to protect the bulb from any kind of a frost heaving. Frost heaving can occur in colder weather, colder climates, where the water in the soil is going to freeze. And then as it thaws, it's going to expand and it can pop stuff out of the ground.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't have good roots established on your garlic and you're in a colder climate, that can actually happen. So it's going to do that. And then it also means you're going to have like sturdier plants that can tap into the soil nutrients better when spring actually does roll around. And, you know, once spring rolls around, they're going to have to essentially go through what's called the vernalization process. And so that's very similar to cold stratification for seeds. So it needs to go through about 4 to 6 weeks of like 40-degree or colder soil temperatures in order for that vernalization process to take place. And then it's going to be able to start giving you growth of the leaves in the springtime when the soil again heats up. And you kind of want to get that stuff in, you know, earlier rather than later. So don't wait on it, is what I'm saying, because you can plant garlic virtually at all different times of the year, but you're just going to have a much different yield based on that. Mm-hmm. And your harvest times are going to be different, and you're going to have to take it through maybe a hotter season than you'd like to or whatnot. I typically like to see my stuff come out in June before it gets extremely hot, but that's putting it in right now, which I will probably plant inside of the week. Okay. I've been working on my beds out here and getting them in shape. And I mean, I could go out now and start plopping garlic in because I've got them all pretty well dialed, but I've been adding and making sure that they're staying moist and getting the water to them so that things start to kind of wake up in there a little bit better, like all your invertebrates. You know, there's actually worms where I can scoop my hand down in there now, and there's worms everywhere. So that's really what you want, is the soil life to come to life, but it can't do that when it's all weedy and dry. Mm-hmm. And so I've been working on that, and yeah, it's that time of year. Yeah. Yeah, you have a big fight on your hands. Yeah, that sucks. I heard a little bit about that when you were doing your video, and yeah, that's never any good, dealing with that type of stuff, you know, mm-hmm. Government and all that.
Beautiful government.
Yeah. I had London had actually reached out last week or so and had asked if I had any garlic for sale. And unfortunately, I do not. You know, we're barely going to have probably enough just for what we need for our seed garlic. Plus, hopefully we'll have enough to get us through the entire rest of the year. We actually ran a little short last year, did we not?
Yeah, not too bad.
Okay.
The garlic actually, it goes pretty good. The onions, on the other hand, are something that we have to go through, much like the potatoes. Yeah. Kind of have to go through them quickly, or they turn, because we don't have a cold storage.
Well, you freeze dried a bunch.
I did freeze dry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So hopefully we don't wind up with a bunch of spoilage this year. So, mm-hmm. Right. But anyhow, yeah, it's important, I think, to get good organic garlic. I mean, you can't actually go and you know, I've heard of people trying to get garlic from the store and plant that, but it's probably not the best idea because they put growth inhibitors in store-bought garlic, like in bleach and things like that, to prevent sprouting, right? It's to inhibit the sprouting and the growth while it's sitting in the store. And so that's another good reason why you should probably want to grow your own garlic, just so you don't have a bunch of bullshit in it. Because I don't know what those growth inhibitors are. They're probably some form of a chemical that you don't want to be eating, right? And so by them putting that on there, you may not even get seeds to actually germinate, or to sprout and grow. So it's good to get good organic stuff. And if once you've grown your own, you have it for as long as you preserve it and take care of it and start to put it back into the ground.
Yes. Garlic is something we should try freeze drying, or I should try freeze drying as well.
Yeah. Yeah. No doubt. No doubt.
I have not. I guess the reason why I have not is the freeze dryer then smelling like garlic, which personally I like, but putting something else into the freeze dryer and having it come out tasting like garlic.
Yeah.
You have to go through a whole process of cleaning it and everything to get rid of the aroma.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've never done it, so it's hard to say what it's going to do. I mean, it may be a problem or it may not. So we just need to do it. Terminator says that I have time. I will be planting my garlic. I have a few more weeks, so hopefully I can get all the work done that I need done. Yeah. Yeah. I've been working at those beds for a little bit at a time for the last couple of weeks. And I'm, like I say, I could plant now, and I'll probably be planting here in the next couple of days, because September 15th is my kind of day that I shoot for. And I can go a little early, or I can go maybe a week late, but I kind of like to get it in right about that time. So, London had asked if I had any garlic for sale, and I'm going to have to get back to him on the email, but I don't think I have enough to spare, because what he's looking to plant is a bed that's 9 by 12, I believe, or 8 by 12. And so he's going to need probably, 4.5 pounds of garlic. Yeah. Each bulb is like a little over an ounce or whatnot, but he's going to need probably 60 to 70 bulbs.
Yeah.
Which is going to be a lot of cloves, several hundred cloves that he's going to be putting in the ground. If he's planting 6 inches apart, 8-inch rows, you're looking at a lot of garlic. So he's probably going to be over $100 just in seed garlic to plant that. So it's expensive. So it's good when you get it, you want to keep it,
Unless you want to start smaller, get your own and kind of build that way.
Sure. Yeah, I would definitely recommend trying to find a good local nursery that sells, garlic, and just make the investment and go and do it kind of all at once. It's only $100 or whatever. That way you've got it. Yeah. So, another thing that I have been working on around here is fall feeding of perennials. And, I usually do that a couple of times a year, but if I had to feed my perennials only once a year, now would be the time. And it's more or less kind of the same reason as I plant my garlic in the fall, is because it's nice to, when you're putting out that organic material, you want the soil life, the bacteriological and the microbes and all the fungal components of whatever's happening within that organic material to be warm enough where all of the microbes are going to want to start to feeding on that stuff and breaking it down, pulling it into the soil, into that root zone. And so now's the time when you want to start doing that. And then it's in advance of the rainstorms, which are going to come in and irrigate that and drench all of that material down into the root zone, and it'll be there and available for the plants when they go into that growth season in the spring. So it's best now to do it. If you had only one time of the year to do it, I would be thinking about September, depending on your zone, of course, right? Some people, like maybe where Terminator's at, maybe she has a little bit later season or however that works up in her neck of the woods. But yeah, it's kind of an important thing to do. And I like to do it for younger plants because particularly if you got great soil, if you're planting in some really great loamy class 1 soil that is already very decompacted and it's rich in all this organic material. But if you have soil like many people have, where it's kind of rocky and maybe it's clay and it's shitty, then you're going to have to add organic material to that. And the best way to do that is to top dress over the top of the root zone or the drip zone, so to speak, and then just let it infiltrate from the top rather than trying to disturb the soil, the native soil and the root structure and everything. But yeah, that's what I've been working on. So I've been pulling all that compost out of the chicken yard, and it's going in not only where my garlic's at, but it's going around some of my perennials that I'm trying to get established, where it's important to do in the first couple of years or until that tree looks like it's really starting to get on its own and to really look happy where it's at. You need to do that less as time goes on. But it's an important thing to do, particularly if you have shitty soil. Our soil isn't like super shitty, but it's not the best, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we still have quite a few tomatoes out there. And so I will be spending tomorrow actually trying to pull off all of the ripe tomatoes that have not had some little something nibbling at them. And depending on how many I get, which I have a feeling I'm going to get quite a few, probably then start canning. So we'll have some more cans of the tomatoes, and then we'll also have some fresh for the salads.
Yeah.
The same with the basil. It's getting kind of close to the end of the season.
Yeah.
I'd like to utilize all of the basil that's out there, if it not dehydrating it, getting it into dishes.
So freeze dry it. Run it through the freeze dryer.
I could run it through the freeze dryer.
Yeah. Let's see what that's like. We haven't done that. We've just been dehydrating it. So,
well, it dehydrates really well.
Yeah. Yeah.
That, and then the squash, I have to say this year was kind of hard for me to stay on top of the squash. But it is kind of slowed down. So it's really nice because I can go out there and pick a few and toss them in the pan. And so I definitely would like to be better at that next year, staying on top of it. Right now, you've got some out there that are like stone.
Yeah.
So I attempted to bring one in and try to cut through it.
Well, it'll be compost. It's okay.
Couldn't.
It ain't going to go to waste. It'll be compost.
I also noticed that you had a couple watermelons.
Yeah.
They don't look like they're quite.
The ones up front.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, those are the ones from that watermelon I saved last year. And we'll see what it tastes like. But they were fantastic last year. But anyhow, getting back to top dressing and taking care of your perennials and whatnot, guys. I like to use compost because I make a lot of it around here, and it just works out good. Having the chicken yard, having the abundance of that amount of fertility where I can just, use it in its abundance. I understand not everybody has as much or the availability of doing that. So even if you're making a little bit of compost, one of the things that you can do is use, and make like compost tea or compost extract type of a deal. That's still going to give you the fungal and the bacteriological component of what's in the compost, but you're not going to be adding that organic material, which is kind of also another element of what you want to be adding to the soil. So it's a way to work on your perennials and feed the soil, but it's not, in my opinion, like the best way to go. But there are some other options that one could do, And I would just suggest going to like a good commercial, like nursery. Basically the places, if you have or know of where they sell bulk soil, like from a reputable place, not where they're selling like some bullshit that was made down at the waste, the refuse. You know what I mean? They make compost at the dump, but it's all kinds of weird shit that's in that. So you don't want to be doing that. You don't want to necessarily be going down to the rock place that also sells rock and bark and all that other stuff. But we've got compost. Probably not your best bet. Let me just tell you, because they're not probably going to be getting the stuff that's high end. And you can wind up with some problems because, again, I did speak about this earlier, but our son-in-law did that, and he wound up getting root knot nematodes from soil that he bought at a landscaping place rather than going to some place that's reputable that sells good quality organic compost. But you can, if you're not getting compost, you can get things like worm castings. That would be an outstanding amendment as a top dress. You could use things like bone meal or kelp meal. You could use, what I like to use is actually alfalfa meal or alfalfa pellets. I've got some pellets out there that I just put out today, which I need to get another bag or two because I got some other trees that I want to treat. But the thing I like about alfalfa is, yes, there's a little bit more nitrogen in it, but it's pretty balanced. It's like on its NPK ratio, it's like 2.52. So any of these are going to be a slow release for a gardener. You don't want to go get some Miracle Grow bullshit and put it around your roots and your trees and all that stuff that's inorganic. It's going to be very high in different kinds of things like salts and everything. And then you're going to burn your roots and you're going to probably do more harm than good to the soil life. So you want something that's organic, that's going to be slow release. And that's why I like to use things like alfalfa meal or alfalfa pellets, which I just put out and today. But one thing I will tell people, if you're going to use something like that, you want to basically do something to disguise it so that it's not going to attract other things that might want to eat it. Yeah, because like the rabbits will come in and think that, oh, hey, somebody put some food here for me, or the deer or whatever. So when I put that out around in my mulch ring, I come over the top of it with more wood chips to hide it, to kind of disguise it, and then it'll get watered in and rained in and all that stuff in the wintertime. But yeah, definitely something you want to be thinking about this time of year, guys. Or not, if you're not a gardener. Maybe this isn't the content for you, but if you're trying to grow some things, that might be something you want to consider. I put out a video. My last video was that automatic chicken feeder, and it's working good. It's working good. I think I could probably do some more adjustment to it to get it to maybe spit out a little less of the feed. But it's lasting at least 10 days. I'm getting 10 days between the need for me to go and actually put more feed in the thing. But it feeds them every night, once a day. And then they peck at it throughout the day and they get fed again the next night. And yeah, it works out good.
They seem to like it. I don't hear many complaining.
No, they better not. Yeah. So what else am I working on around here? Last week was a week of just a recognition that, hey, I need to actually stop talking about letting loose with some things. And I'm going to actually just start letting loose with some things, like saying, I don't need that. And let me load it up in my truck and take it to the dump. And so I had a bit of iron, bit of steel, bit of metal items around here that I've just been looking at for a long time, thinking, I got to get that out of here. I got to take that to the dump. And last week was the day. I loaded up the truck, went out to the dump, and I didn't realize this. I knew about the concrete, but I didn't know this about the metal. But the metal is actually free. I didn't have to pay for it, which is cool. And I'm assuming that's because they're probably making money at it. So they should probably be paying me, right?
They probably should. Yes. And I as well inside the house have things that are more memorabilia type of thing that I'm holding on to. And so they don't really serve a purpose other than that they have some kind of connection. For example, I have a mixer that does not work, but it was my mom's that she used that is very familiar for me with her making bread as I was growing up. So that's the only connection. So it sits, I don't have it out on display or anything. It sits in a cabinet. So I got to the point where I can say, you know what, I need to let go of this. I need to throw it away. That's an example. There's other things in the house, but I'm not going to list all of them.
Right. Yeah. As a prepper or homesteader or farmer, or even just somebody who has a house, we're always collecting things, and we have a tendency to hold on to certain items for various reasons. Sometimes, like you said, it's sentimental value. And a lot of times for me, it's because I think, oh, I'm going to need that someday. You look at it, I could use that for something someday. And, sometimes that actually comes true. There's plenty of times where I'm like, oh, I'm going to use that. Right. So it's good to have a boneyard. It's good to have a place where you put all that kind of stuff. But there also comes a point where, stuff starts to come out of that boneyard or wind up leaning up against the shed or what have you. And then it just kind of develops its own space over there and it has a new home. So, I don't know. I guess I just get to the point sometimes where I've I haven't used that in like 20 years. I've been looking at it or, whatever. So what's that trigger for you, Rebecca? What is the thing that helps you determine when it's time to let something go?
When it's been sitting and I've never paid attention to it and it's been a year or so and I've never, an example. I have my batons from when I was younger, twirling baton, and the case they came in. But yet I never take them out. I never look at them again. It's just a memory. If I'm not using it in any way, if I'm not teaching somebody how to use it or whatnot, it's time to release. So that's what it is for me. There's just things that if you know that they're hanging out, but you never pay attention to them, then what's the purpose of holding on to them?
Yeah. Yeah. I think the problem for a lot of us people that collect things is we'll put something somewhere and then we forget we even have it sometimes. Right. And so when you need the thing, you don't even know you have the thing because you'll open a drawer and that hasn't been open for a while, or you lift something up and you're like, oh, I didn't even know I had one of those, It's just sitting in a drawer somewhere or up in a rafter or whatever. And so I don't know. That's kind of where I get to. I just start looking around, and when things aren't where they're supposed to be and they're developing a new home, I'm like, yeah, what's that doing over there?
Or you do find it. You don't need it quite at that time, but you still have in your mind that I could use this, and you physically move it to another spot, and that's as far as it goes. It's to another spot.
Yeah, that's another tool that we use for not willing to let things go.
Yes.
Right. Oh man. So let me ask you, Rebecca. This is a question to you. Do you ever want to tell somebody something because it will likely be helpful to them because you can see that, oh, maybe they're making a mistake in doing this, or, I've been down this road and, if they were to do it this way or consider this, but you don't say anything because you don't really know how well it would be received. Do you ever find yourself in that position?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's a number of situations where I opt to keep my mouth closed because I know it's going to offend the person, or like you said, I don't know how well they will receive it. So I keep it to myself. And I just think in my head, I guess this is how I justify it, is that they'll eventually figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had a couple of instances, and I see these instances like on a daily basis because they're on our road out here, and it's some of the neighbors that we have. And, I'll either be running on my run or I'm driving into town. I mean, I see these things every day,
Mm-hmm.
and I look at them every day. And I actually saw these projects when they were going in.
Yeah.
And
I think I know what you're going to talk about.
yeah, well, there's one that for sure, because we just recently talked about it. But it's like you see people doing something, and you want to help them because you can see that, they don't really know what the fuck they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't going to end well, or this is like, why are you doing that? Have you thought of this? And I will say for myself, that's one of the things that I wish I would be better at sometimes. And I think that all homesteaders, you don't even have to be like a homesteader, but if you have a blank piece of property, you would be so much better off if you just sought the opinion of another person, another set of eyes, somebody with some, a different perspective. Now, if they're jackass or they don't really know what they're looking at, then you don't really need to get their advice. But there's plenty of people whose opinion you would value, and you could just say, "Hey, man, I got this piece of ground. This is what I'm thinking of doing. Like, give me your thoughts. What would you do? What should I do?" Just like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be something that if I could have done that, I would have avoided a lot of mistakes that I've made here on this property, possibly.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I think that's the value of having, somebody to consult in. I mean, there's people that do this for a living, professional consultation of your property and stuff. They'll come around and, you should lay it out this way and do that. And, they could save you a lot of money in doing so. And
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a very smart and wise investment, because how many times do people do shit and then they go, they're like, "Oh, I shouldn't have put that building over there. I wish I would have laid it out over here, because now I've got this other thing and it's not wide enough for me to drive my tractor through." And, that's houses and homesteads are just a series of constant mistakes that have not been well thought out in most cases.
Yeah.
They just very much are. And there's a lot of things that I did correctly on this property. But there's some things that I kind of overlooked, and I would just, some of these neighbors, I'm just like, can I talk to you? What are you doing over here? Tell me about your project,
Mm-hmm.
And the one is, for example, somebody's putting in a garden, right? Garden boxes.
Uh-huh.
And I could see that they're putting them in an area that is probably not going to be very well suited for what they're trying to grow. They're putting them in an area where they're only going to get about 3 to 4 hours of sun, because they're putting their boxes underneath shade trees.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're planting and trying to grow annuals, if you're trying to grow warm weather annuals like corn and peppers and tomatoes and all of that sort of stuff, which they're trying to grow, it needs full sunlight. That's the whole point. That's why they have leaves. They're trying to gather all that solar energy and convert it into foliage, which is going to give more solar collecting power to produce more fruit, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I can see that their stuff isn't flourishing, and yet they keep bringing in more and more garden boxes into this one little spot. And just little things like that. That's kind of actually a big thing. It's just the site layout of your project, and I want to tell them, but I kind of don't, because it's not my place. You know what I mean?
Yes, I know exactly what you mean. I know exactly who you're talking about.
Oh yeah, of course, they're right up the street. But my point is that there's a dozen things I could tell them very similar to that would save them time, effort, money. I mean,
so there's things that I have said to certain people that I feel would be offended if I said, "Hey, you should try it this way." So I'll say, "This is what I did. I gave it And I really found it to work out good. And I kind of leave it at that in hopes that they're hearing what I'm saying and maybe thinking, maybe I should try that.
Yeah. Yeah, that might work. But I mean, how does that work when you don't really know the person? You just maybe, they know you're a neighbor and you've maybe said hi to them or whatever, It's not like you have a relationship with them. So it's just different,
Yeah. Well, then I think it's best for them to find out on their own.
Yeah. It's unfortunate because I see people spending money that's, not well spent. Just another example, guys, I'll leave this one alone after this, but just in the location that they've planted it, it's right next to the road. And what are you getting right next to the road? You're getting all of that vehicle exhaust, and you're getting all of that road grime that's going to get aerosolized when the roads get wet, and that's going to wash all into your boxes. And if you're trying to, produce good quality soil that you're going to grow food in, that you're going to put on your dinner table, that's probably not the best site to put, so it's just thing after thing I just see. And I'm like, oh, so now you're covering all of this stuff so that it's going to prevent pollinators from getting in there to pollinate. I mean, so of course you have no tomatoes, so I don't know. It's just, yeah. Interesting, huh?
It is. But
should I be a good neighbor and say something, or should I just mind my own damn business? Because that's what most people want you to do, is just mind your own damn business.
I think you should let them find out on their own.
I do too. That's why I haven't said anything. I just thought I'd bring that up because every day I drive by and I go, oh my.
This particular person I do know, and know fairly well. But even at that, I still would not say anything. Right.
Yeah. Well, let's jump into some homestead dilemmas, and then we'll backtrack and we'll go back to some of the other things that I've got for us. Okay. So here's the scenario. You and your family of 6 living on your homestead have just run out of the last meat that you had in your freezer in dry storage. All meat, including fish, poultry, beef, pork, lamb, and any other popular sources of protein, are a minimum of $60 a pound in the local stores due to supply chain issues and shortages. Do you knowingly break the law and begin to harvest wild game on your property out of season without a license to feed your family, or do you rearrange your budget in order to purchase meat from the store at the going rate?
I would do the first. I would hunt deer, hunt raccoon, hunt whatever it is that I know that my family could eat, wild pig, and take my losses. I would do that as opposed to giving the store $60.
Okay. Yeah.
And you?
I would do the same thing. Yeah, it's on my property. And what the government doesn't know, the government doesn't need to know.
That's right.
Yeah. I mean, that to me is a pretty simple one. But, I threw it out there just because, I mean, the meat's expensive as it is now. So why aren't you out there poaching? If you need to go buy something from the store, you're going to go buy something from the store now. So why aren't you out there poaching or asking me to go out and shoot stuff in the middle of the night so we can avoid the high cost of food so that we can break the law?
Because we just had a hog fill up our freezer.
That's we don't have the hog. This is a scenario. I'm just saying. You know what I'm saying? So
I would. If we were in that situation, I would.
Yeah, $60 is too much. That's
$60 is way too much.
So you're saying that's the bridge too far?
Oh, $50, $40. I'm not going to pay that much for a pound of
chicken.
That would have to be closer to, for me to like really, really stretch it. And this would be a real stretch. I'd probably pace up and down in the store.
Right.
Would be if it were $10 a pound. And that's like,
yeah,
I might pick it up and probably put it back.
Yeah. Okay. So how would you go about harvesting these animals and poaching them? Why would you do that?
I would do it because a lot of those animals are overpopulated anyway.
And how would you go about doing it? In the broad daylight, in the middle of the night? How would you do it?
It'd probably be in the middle of the night.
Okay.
Less likely to be seen, less likely to be caught.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I'm down. I think that's pretty simple.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe owl tastes good. However, I haven't.
Dude, you're getting hard up. You gonna go shoot an owl?
I haven't heard them lately, though.
The owls are cool, man. Don't go shooting owls.
Do you remember that baby owl that was on the driveway?
I do.
That was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, I know. I found him.
Yeah.
And he was just sitting out there all just dazed. It was cool.
Sitting out in the sun.
I know. I kind of shushed him underneath my truck to get him out of the sun. But I think he was like a baby that fell out of a nest. But yeah, it was cool, man. And I walked around him and his little head just like followed me, just like
turned 300 or 360 degree all the way around. Man.
Yeah, it was cool.
How would you like to have that ability?
That'd be all right.
That might freak some people out.
It might. Yeah. Okay. Here's the next scenario, Rebecca. Let's see how you do with this one. Your homestead's well water tests positive for contamination from a nearby industrial spill. The company responsible offers a compensation package of $10 million to you, but accepting it means signing a non-disclosure agreement, and you must move out of the state in which you live to cash in. Do you take the money and accept their terms, or fight for accountability at the request or at the risk of no payout at all?
I think I would fight that because I'm not the only person that's living in that area.
Okay.
They may be offering that to other neighbors as well. And obviously that's up to them, but
let's say they're not, and it's just your property that's been affected, and it's not other neighbors. It's just you. And they've offered that to you to leave, but you have to leave and relocate to another state. And if you fight, you run the risk of getting no compensation at all.
I still would fight.
And if you lost it, you'd be all right with that?
I would, because obviously I was supporting myself prior to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think financially I'd probably be okay.
Okay.
And you?
I would do the opposite. I would take the money.
You'd take the money?
Yeah. And, and that's, of course, having to relocate. But the way I look at it is there's nothing to say that I couldn't come back into this state and stay for as long as I wanted. I could go buy another house someplace else. That's my residence.
Mm-hmm.
We could get a motorhome. We could come back here and stay for 3, 4, 5 months at a time someplace. Still get to see our grandkids, plus have all that fucking money to do whatever we want to put into a trust for everybody.
Providing that they actually pay you.
No, they're going to pay me. That's what the scenario is. Yeah.
I still think that
don't read more into the scenario than I've written, because I'm telling you, they're paying you $10 million to leave the state. If you fight it, you run the risk of not getting anything. That's what I would do.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money, man.
That's a lot of money.
And I'm not saying money's everything, but I mean, you have to look at the big picture and how you can benefit you and whoever else you want in your circle to be benefited by that.
So
that's a lot to
is
give
this
up.
money tax-free?
It doesn't matter what it is. If you wanted it tax-free, I'll tell you it's tax-free if that makes you happy. It's still $10 million.
Mm-hmm.
And you might have to pay taxes on that, whatever. It's money you didn't have prior to that. And it's worth more than the house that we're sitting in. So I would have no problem getting rid of this house and moving someplace else, purchasing a house somewhere else. And then we could come back to California and hang out and play with our grandkids and do whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I would look at it. But anyhow, no right or wrong answer here.
Yeah.
I wouldn't fight it. If I ran the risk of losing that money, is in other words. But okay, here's the last one. Now this one, we'll see how you deal with this one. Okay. You have a neighbor who is a fellow homesteader. However, your relationship with each other is frigid at best. Your neighbor has had a history of violence and encounters with the law, and you and he purposely avoid each other to avoid confrontation. You overhear this neighbor planning to sell contaminated seeds to unsuspecting buyers within your local community for profit, which will likely ruin their crops. Reporting this to the authorities would signal to your neighbor that you are the one who has turned him in, since he knows you are the only one who knows of his plan. But ignoring it makes you complicit in the deception. Do you intervene to protect your neighbors, or mind your own business to avoid a potential violent encounter or entanglement?
I would hate for this to destroy other people's things, but I'm going to say I probably would mind my own business.
Why is that?
Because I don't want him to taint what I'm growing.
Why do you think he's going to do something to what you're growing?
Because if
you're not planting his seeds. He's selling those.
I'm not planting his seeds. But if he knows that I'm the person that turned him in and he's bitter, then it's likely that he's going to destroy what you have.
Yeah. So you're not gonna intervene for your neighbors in your community, full well knowing that it's going to cause them great hardship and pain.
Well, I don't want to cause them great hardship and pain.
No, I understand you don't. That's why it's a dilemma.
If I could figure out how to tell them or warn them without my neighbor knowing that it was me,
yes,
then absolutely, I would tell my neighbor. I would tell them.
That makes you a good person.
Absolutely,
it gets you the out.
But I've got what'd you say? A family of 6?
Yeah.
I got kids to take care of.
There you go. I'm telling you, it's a tough one, because it does cross that, it's kind of hard to sleep knowing, this guy's fucking a bunch of people over, and, I could turn him in or whatever, but there's nothing to say that dude doesn't come back and shoot you up. Right.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
if he knows it's you, how do you know he's not going to come back and do damage to you?
Yeah, you don't know what people are capable of. And so it's really good to think things through before you put yourself in a position where there's somebody who, with a history of violence and the potential for, some kind of a conflict that you didn't anticipate. Mm-hmm. That could upend your whole world. Right. Mm-hmm. So I think you made a measured and reasonable thing, but it leaves other people out, but I would do the same thing. I have to be honest. So
I don't know if I ever shared with you growing up. I raised Australian Shepherd puppies. The man across the street owned a bar, but pretty well-known, boisterous, could be aggressive. He offered for me to borrow. He didn't ask for any money. He offered for me to borrow his Australian Shepherd male to breed with my female. She had a beautiful litter of puppies, and I had, prior to that, had said that you could pick a litter, and he said he didn't want any. So one of the days I come home and there's a couple puppies that are missing. And there's word around town that they saw him come in the yard when nobody was home and take a couple puppies. Now, he didn't take one when he was asked. So deal's done, right?
Yeah.
But I found out who he gave the puppies to. Probably shouldn't tell you this, but anyway.
You don't have to tell me the person's name or whatever.
No, I don't. So. I don't know names.
Okay.
I found the house. I peeked in the garage door, and there were the 2 puppies, and the garage door wasn't locked. So I went in, took the puppies, took them home.
Mm-hmm.
He killed the female.
He killed what female?
He killed the mother.
When did he do that? What do you mean he killed the female?
When he found out, because it got back to him that I was the person that took those puppies back.
And so he came over to your house.
No, he waited till she kind of strayed outside the yard, got her, and he killed her.
Yeah. Yeah, that sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. What a psychopath, man.
So that's why I say when you put that out there, it was like, you don't know what that person's going to do.
No, you don't know what anybody's going to do. I see a lot of people on social media, just they don't know how to de-escalate. And sometimes that's hard to do, when you get angry or inflamed over something, you get pissed. And then it just kind of escalates. But man, I see a lot of people just getting laid out.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't know that it's their last day when they're in that confrontation, but somebody pulls a gun on them, and that was their last moment.
Yeah.
That happens a lot. And so, I think in that case, in that homestead dilemma, you made a pretty measured, it's great to help people, but you got to think about yourself first and who you're there to protect.
Mm-hmm.
And with a family of 6 and all of those responsibilities that go along with that, you got to think like an adult and not just like, oh, this would be a great thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyhow, so here's a scenario for you, Rebecca. And this one's kind of a political one. I didn't really want to do politics tonight, but I thought, you know what? I can't help myself. I can't help it. So check this out. Imagine you left your kid in a big cookie jar full of cookies with the babysitter who has been entrusted to manage both responsibly. But when you get back, your kid's fine, but the jar is nearly empty, down from hundreds to just a few cookies left. And when you ask the babysitter what happened, she comes up with a multitude of excuses and does not take any personal responsibility for her failure. As her employer, how likely would you be looking to hire her again? Would you entrust her with your children and the responsibility of looking after the cookie jar? Would she be the person that you would cast your vote for, in other words?
Well, she took care of the kid. How valuable are the cookies? But that's not the point. She was supposed to be looking after both of them.
Mm-hmm.
And clearly she did not.
Mm-hmm.
So that would hinder my wanting to hire her.
Yeah, of course. It's not a trick question. There's nothing more to it than that. She didn't do her job,
Who
right?
stole the cookie from the cookie jar?
Not me. Says who? Couldn't be. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do too. But is this section closed? I don't know, man. What section? What's up, non-existent John? So, I hope what that scenario does is it gets people to think somewhat critically when a politician like Gavin Newsom asks for your vote. Because essentially that's what's happened in California. We had 79, I don't know, what was it, 79 billion surplus or million? I can't remember.
Oh, yeah.
But anyhow, he took us from a surplus to now we have, this huge
deficit,
huge budget deficit because of mismanagement. And, if he really had some believable answers, it would be a lot easier for him to explain that. But he's not very good at that.
Mm-mm.
And here's a good example of what I'm talking about. This is exactly like the babysitter telling you what happened to the cookies in the cookie jar. Listen to this.
to Californians how we moved from $100 billion surplus to such a significant deficit in just a matter of a few years?
Well, it's, we can explain it. $349 billion of unprecedented capital gains, 11.6%, when traditional capital gains is around 5.18% on average. It's almost double. So you had massive volatility. You have requirements under Prop 2, the GAN. You have requirements under Prop 98, which require that set aside. We use 93%
Directed
of our
traffic.
surplus, which is, I want to be careful, either on the higher end or without precedent for one-time purposes. So we anticipated, because we didn't want that surplus to go to ongoing commitments, we anticipated that shortfall.
Where's the cookies?
What we didn't anticipate is these rain bombs in December, January, February, and March, these atmospheric rivers that led to a federal declaration that led to FEMA and the IRS moving in a direction where we couldn't collect our taxes until, I believe, November 16th, as opposed to April 15th. And so therein lied this blackout period that beguiled all of us, the LAO, finance, economists, experts. And interestingly, I mean, has been at the White House recently, had an impact in terms of the IRS collections as well with their estimates, because there were other states that had similar delays in their taxes related to weather events. If there was any indication that climate change,
Global warming,
has impacts well beyond those that are often promoted, I would consider our financial delays as just another example of why we need to tackle them. Another reason I'm looking forward to conversations that we'll be having next week.
There you go. There you go. There's your.
that was a bunch of nothing.
Yeah, well, it was a whole bunch of deflection, and it's pretty interesting to me to think that guy will probably be the Democrat nominee, and there's a good chance that he will become president. And I've said this for many episodes on this show, and nobody wants to hear that, but it's just true. It's how people. They have very short attention spans, and they go for the shiny thing. They go for what they think, oh, this is, better than the other thing.
I don't know what it means, but I'm going to vote for him.
But there's all I'm trying to do here is just to point out, people need to think for themselves and not forget what people have done in the past. You got to, go on somebody's record. If in fact you were going to hire a babysitter, very simple analogy,
Mm-hmm.
and they couldn't do a simple job that you asked them to do, which is to manage the resources of the state effectively, and they don't take responsibility for anything that they've fucking done. All they do is to deflect and say that it's somebody else's problem. That's what this guy is. And, I hope that people will see that and not just be swayed by, a slick hairdo and white shiny teeth. But he's very good. I will say that. He is very gifted at wordsmith. He's no Joe Biden. He's no Kamala Harris. He's good at what he does, and he's been good for a couple of decades. He just has. He's a total liar, and he gets caught in lies all the time, but he's just good at deflecting. And then people are stupid. People have short attention spans. So that's why I like playing stuff like this, so people can kind of see like, oh, maybe I will look at his record.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't just have nice teeth and nice hair. But anyhow, what do you think, Rebecca? Are you?
I don't like him. I've never liked him.
You a big supporter?
I am not a supporter of his.
No.
He could clean up his act and I still wouldn't be a supporter of his.
Nor I. But hey. Yeah. So I think what I'll do here is I'll end with this tonight. I think we're coming to the end of tonight's broadcast.
Yeah.
But this is a did you know? And I bet you didn't know this.
Probably not. There's a lot of stuff out there I don't know.
Same here. But do you remember when you were a kid in the 70s, and you saw that yellow smiley face
Mm-hmm.
that was on buttons and it was on t-shirts and it was everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
right? Do you know who created that and when it came to be?
That, when it came to be, well, at least in the 70s, if not earlier.
It was earlier than the 70s.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I want to say back in the 60s
it was in the 60s.
is when it came to be. And as far as who developed it, I have no idea. But if I were to guess, I'd say Bill Gates. I don't know.
No,
I have no idea.
it wasn't Bill Gates. That was a horrible guess. Bill Gates. Bill Gates wasn't even born then or whatever. But anyhow.
From the womb.
Yeah.
From the womb, he had his yellow smiley face.
I didn't know about it until actually who created this thing until yesterday. I just came across something on TikTok and I thought, oh, that's pretty cool, man. That's interesting. But the guy who created it is a guy named Harvey Ball.
Mm.
And so he was a commercial artist and a graphic designer. And in 1963, he was commissioned by an insurance company to design a simple graphic boost. Is this simple graphic basically just to boost morale following that insurance company's merger with another company that caused low spirits among the people that were working within the company. And so he basically sketched this yellow smiley face with narrow oval-sized or oval-shaped eyes, one slightly larger than the other, and a subtle Mona Lisa-like smile, like a curved mouth. And he did so in just 10 minutes and was paid $45 for the work, and he never trademarked or copyrighted it, allowing it to basically spread freely. And he never sought any royalties, and reportedly he had no regrets about the financial oversight, viewing it as a symbol of goodwill.
To put on a happy face.
Well, that's a nice thing for him to do, you know. But in 1999, he was concerned about its over-commercialization, and he founded the World's Smile Corporation and the Harvey Ball World Smile Foundation to promote good cheer and good works, including the annual World Smile Day, which is on the first Friday in October. So that's going to be happening this year, October 1st.
Cool.
So that's a nice way to end the broadcast on something a little bit more cheery than old Gavin Newsom, would you not say?
That is.
Yeah.
Again, I say, put on a happy face.
Okay. Yeah. So do you have anything you'd like to leave folks with your broken hand over there? And
My
everything?
broken hand. My hand after surgery got infected. They put me on antibiotics. It did well. They took me off the antibiotics. In 5 days, finger blew back up, and here I back am in a splint, back on antibiotics.
Yeah, that sucks.
That's in a nutshell.
Yeah, that sucks. I'm hoping that gets better. I don't like to see the fact that you've went in for something to fix a problem, and now you have another problem that's kind of even more debilitating than the problem you had when you went in.
I would have, if it were up to me, I would have kept the trigger finger. If in hindsight, if I knew this was going to happen, I would have kept the trigger finger.
Well, maybe it'll get better and it'll be all good here shortly. But, to this point, I don't like the fact that, it's not how it's supposed to be.
I can tell you, as a left-hander, trying to be right-handed is just messed up. You guys are messed up.
Yeah.
You need to be left-handed.
Yeah. Thanks, Tim Riley, for joining us tonight. We're kind of, I think we're going to run a little bit short tonight. We're going to get out. We still got some things we need to do here on the farm, but we just wanted to pop in and share a few thoughts with the folks. And we are glad that you've joined us. We hope you keep the wheels rolling in the right direction, moving forward this coming week. And do you have anything else you want to say, Rebecca?
Homesteading is not harmful content.
No, it is certainly not harmful content. And we look forward to heading into the fall season. Don't forget to plant that garlic and go out tomorrow and be better
Than you were today.
than you were today. Thanks again, guys. We'll see you.
Good evening.